Right, just the three of us apparently.
Yeah.
5 o'clock. Call the meeting. Oh,
Hello?
we have,
Oh.
Jason on. Oh, all right. Well, anyway,
All right.
did the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. With that-
Before we get started, Jason, are you online?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
And
Hello?
Joan, okay.
I know.
Jason, are you online?
I am online. Can you hear me?
Or
Hello, I'm here. Can you hear me?
something's muted.
Sounds up.
Hello?
Oh,
Hello.
I'm
yeah,
here.
that's better.
There we go. I'm
Hello.
here.
Just checking to see, is there anyone else in the room with you this evening?
In my physical location room.
Yes.
I have my headphones in, so only I can hear it.
Okay.
And then when we go into not public, I will move to a different room with nobody in there.
I believe we are not going to be going to non-public tonight, so I think we'll be good on that. We're just required
Even better.
to confirm who's in the room with you.
I believe my children will be coming up to the room here in a little bit, but like I said, I'm on my headphones and no one else can hear me.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jason.
Right. And we have Phil.
Apologize for my late arrival.
It's okay. We're just getting started.
Did I miss the pledge?
Yes.
You did.
Would you like me to do it solo?
No, it's all right.
You're good. We'll let you get away with it this time.
All right. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the April 28th regular meeting minutes.
Second.
Any discussion on those minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right.
I abstain.
That makes sense. And we have enough to pass them. All right, some announcements. The select board will meet on the following dates at 5 p.m. Note the change on the first date is Tuesday, May 27th, to get us out of the way of Memorial Day. Then Monday, June 9th, and then Monday, June 23rd. Town offices are closed on Memorial Day, Monday, May 26th, and there will be a Memorial Day parade in town. The parade lineup starts at 10 a.m. at the Armory, starting at about 10:30 usually, and that continues up Main Street and concludes right in front of Town Hall. Hope to see you all there. Citizens wishing to be listed on the Select Board's agenda should notify Town Hall before noon, Thursday before the scheduled meeting, and all meetings are held here in Town Hall and are available on Zoom, and the Zoom information can be found on the town's website, PlymouthNH.gov. First up, Jason, do you want to discuss your pending outage?
Yeah. So, what's it called? I'm looking to do some coursework at Plymouth State University, and unfortunately, the only time there is a course that's only offered every 2 years, and unfortunately, it directly conflicts with select board meetings in the fall, and so I am looking to discuss, what can be done or whether I need to miss it on those dates identified in the email I sent to Scott and Ann.
I'm seeing if I can pull those up real quick. Yeah.
Should be in your package as well.
Oh, they're in here as well? Oh, yeah, they are. So we're looking at 4 dates. The last the last meeting in August through the first meeting in October. So those those 4 outages. And so we discussed, strictly on paper, we've got 5 board members and we will easily have a quorum for those 4 meetings. And so Jason could miss those 4. The only other alternative would be for us to say, hey, let's shift our meetings to a different cadence, first and third Monday instead of second and fourth, something like that.
Would you propose that change in meeting schedule be just for the months that Jason is out, or are we talking about a long-term change to our meeting schedule?
I would suggest that if it were short-term, it might work. Problem being is that some other meetings are also at the same time, like the schools meet on the first.
Are they first and third Monday?
They are the first Monday and the first Tuesday of the month.
Oh, they're once a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So
then it
then
would
we
be
would-
2 months potentially where
Where we would miss school. Yeah.
the only other alternatives that I noted would be possibly shifting to Wednesday, because there seems to be no meetings on Wednesdays, that it would be conflicting with any of the committee reports that we must attend.
And Wednesday permanently, or Wednesday during
I would
that
do it, I
time?
would say, if we're gonna shift the time, that we would do it to a Wednesday for that period of time. Alternatively, I think it's fine if he misses that and caters us dinner,
I have no problem throwing out some dinner for one of the,
I'm
one
just
time.
kidding.
I can do it all the times, but
I'm kidding.
I'm okay with him skipping the 4, missing the 4, just from a consistency perspective. I'd like to keep the current
Stick with
Mondays.
the second
Yeah,
and fourth
Yeah.
Mondays.
I'd prefer
I agree.
that. I mean, I'm open.
I also, I'm new enough to this that, the schedule is less important to me, and I also see the value in having Jason's voice represented on the board, and, I'd be willing to try Wednesdays for those 5 weeks if we needed to.
When does the budget cycle for the board really kick off?
Beginning of October.
Okay, so, but it doesn't collide with those
Right
other
around
3.
at the end of this, right?
So we could consider moving one of them in the October.
Yeah, just thinking about a special, in terms of things to come up to speed on and get really comfortable with, the budget is probably
Yeah.
one of the most important things we do.
Right.
But he can always watch the meetings
That's true too.
and still bring himself up to speed. I think you've been very consistent on the second and fourth. The department heads are prepared to be here if they need to be on the second
Yeah.
and fourth.
Admittedly, we haven't had to call them in quite some time,
No, you haven't.
but it's a good point.
Yep. And they can watch some.
I presume that budget heads needed to be here more frequently when we were on the town administrator, before we had a town manager.
That's one way to put it.
Okay. This is not, I did not make that comment on a personal level in any way, just more about the structure of the town manager
Yes.
having more authority than.
Yeah, the authority of the town
administrator.
manager means that
Yes.
he can speak for the departments
Right.
instead of us needing to speak to them directly. And so
Yeah,
it's
please.
it's the rare instance where we really need them to come in. It's a big big line items, big purchase
Detailed questions,
orders
sure.
or things like that. We'll bring them in, but generally Scott can kind of buffer.
Yep.
I'm okay with keeping up with us keeping the current cadence, and I will catch up and watch the meetings. I understand. I know it's nice for the community in order to be able to set their calendars and know when the meetings are going to be for those who do want to come.
Okay, so it sounds like we maintain our current
Yeah.
schedule.
Yeah.
So we'll maintain the current schedule, and you'll have a brief sabbatical, Jason, and we'll see you in October.
I apologize for this. Like I said, if it wasn't for this class only being offered, twice, once every 2 years, I wouldn't have asked. But, I want to try to get this doctorate done and work on trying to better myself. So I'm not trying to shirk my duties to the town. Unfortunately, it's just the nature of the beast with these conflicts.
I applaud you for pursuing continuing education.
100%.
Jason, if you had any questions or comments or concerns, after you watch the meeting, please reach out to Zach as the chairman, myself, or Scott. We'll try to answer any questions, maybe something you may not understand.
Or something you want us to bring up in the next
Right.
meeting on your behalf. Happy to do that.
Most definitely will. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
A quick loop back. Speaking of missing select board meetings, I will not be available on June 9th.
Okay. I will be available on June 9th.
All right. Well, then
Come hell
you
or high water.
you get to run the show on June 9th. All right. So we've rescheduled the pinning ceremony. That takes us to town manager's report. Scott is under the weather this evening. So did the two of you do rock, paper, scissors?
Go for it.
Go for it. Okay. I am going to read the town manager's report on behalf of Scott, and I will attempt to do it with the same level of eloquence as he does.
That's right.
So, Plymouth State University informational update. The Select Board, Town Manager, and Finance Director had an initial conversation on how the town and university can work together with regards to finding a funding formula that is tangible and tied directly to university in the town of Plymouth. We truly believe that there is a reason that it is called a Life Safety Services Agreement. This represents services that are provided to the university through fire, police, rescue, public works, and the keepers of public safety and health. We will work in collaboration with the university to find a funding model that creates a spirit of open communication, 3-year agreement with potential modifications as budgets change each year, strikes a balance between the university and the town, covers the needs of both the town and the university, provides a transparent view into the expectations on both parties, and ideally provides an agreed upon formula that can be applied to accurately model costs. We will have additional meetings with the university, the first to be held on Monday, June 9th, at the Select Board meeting, which starts at 5 p.m. at the Town Hall. Additionally, Scott will be speaking at freshman orientation sessions during the month of June.
Should we reschedule that, Zach? You okay with you not being here the June 9th?
It's the first conversation. I'm all right.
I wasn't sure though. That's cool.
All right. Summer parking Silver Hall lots. The town of Plymouth and Plymouth State University will be entering into a memorandum of understanding for the use of Silver Hall parking lots number 210 and 211 during the period of May 14th through August 20th, 2025. There are a few dates that the lots will not be available due to New Hampshire Music Festival performance at Silver Hall. We will communicate this information and have signs in place as we did last summer. Recreation Department. The Recreation Department has released their summer 2025 program opportunities, as well as the Keniston Freeman Summer Concert Series and Cruise Night dates. There are copies in Town Hall and can be viewed at https://simplebooklet.com Plymouth Rec Summer 2025 Rec Opportunities. I'm assuming that there's a link on the website for this, Ann?
Yes.
Okay. Because that's a mouthful. Performance evaluations 24 and 25, 24.25. As of Thursday, May 15th, 2025, all eligible town employees will have had their performance evaluations completed and discussed with their respective supervisors. This year's process has focused on achievements, aligning evaluations with strategic goals, and incorporating employee self-assessments. We emphasized the importance of providing constructive feedback, recognizing employee contributions, and collaboratively identifying areas for professional growth and development. This completes the 24-25 performance evaluation cycle. Questions on that one? All right, next up, 2025 full statistical property reevaluation. Whitney Consultants, our assessing contractor, will be attending the May 27th Select Board meeting to discuss our reevaluation project, to include our timeline and communication strategy. Additional information additional information becomes available, you will find it on the Town of Plymouth website under Departments/Assessor. And there's a URL here too, but I am not going to read it aloud. This information is on the town website and has been published in our weekly newsletter. Welfare Report, April 2025. During the month of April, Mary Ann had 51 consultations with individuals seeking assistance. The cases ranged from assistance with adult and elderly services, rent, homelessness, fuel assistance, electricity, and housing. Mary Ann consistently demonstrates a deep understanding of the needs of our community, and her ability to navigate complex situations is exceptional. Loon Lake Road Project. The Highway Department is preparing the Loon Lake Road project meeting with the town engineer and contractor, MC Build LLC, with regards to the temporary detour and timeline for the project. As of today, it looks like the project will kick off the first week of June, and the Highway Department is currently working on the detour, so it will be ready when construction starts. Once the timeline is finalized, we will have signage and communicate to the residents on Loon Lake Road and Chason Road. Economic development follow-up. As we continue the process of standing up a more permanent, consistent economic development initiative and committee here in town, Scott has been meeting with Joseph, and there are a wide range of ideas as far as what this committee could work on, including tax incentives, 79E/ERZ. I'm not really sure what that is, but I'm sure Scott does. Placemaking infrastructure, marketing and community branding, master plan work, and everything in between. In particular, it seems that we are looking to work out how to take the necessary steps to navigate to translating a wide range of economic development ideas floating around amongst different community boards and individuals into a cohesive and effective strategy/committee. That will make it more positive progress for the community. Additionally, there is interest in bringing a range of positive partners to assist with this effort. Which we can imagine would potentially include Cooperative Extension, Grafton County EDC, amongst others which we are having initial conversations.
Before you move on, Phil, do you know much about 79E or the ERZ?
I just opened it up.
Okay, so I don't know the exact details.
Community Revitalization Tax Relief. It's
Yeah.
RSA 79E.
We talked about this briefly at Planning Board like a month and a half ago,
comes up.
2 months ago. As I understood it at the time, we could do sort of a tax incentive program where a building in town that was abandoned or needed redevelopment, we could offer a tax incentive where we say, okay, if you redevelop this building, then we won't increase your taxes for a period of time. So 5 years, 7 years, something like that. And so then you're incentivized to invest money in that building because you'll get this flat rate on your taxes for a period of time. And then, it goes up to what it's worth at the end.
I'm not sure how it works if it's taxed at
Roughly.
the assessed value, even if the rate changes.
Even if the assessed value increase. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I think that's the general concept.
I like that.
It's an interesting idea, especially with a few empty
At least
properties.
it takes away the disincentive of paying higher taxes when there are other costs associated with
Yeah.
with revitalizing properties, but it removes the increase in taxes as one of them.
So anyway, we had talked about that. It seems like a good thing to continue to look into. I'm looking forward to hearing more about it.
I agree. Good to go. Social media policy update. The updated social media policy was provided to all employees, boards, commissions, and volunteers during the week of April 28th. Town manager's office mold remediation and renovation. The mold remediation has been completed both in Scott's office and in the basement. That renovation is complete, and he will move back to his old office on Thursday, May 15th. This was to be paid for by the American Rescue Plan Act ARPA grant from 2024. And it appears that we have 2 employment opportunities in the town of Plymouth. One for a recycling center employee and one for a police officer. And as always, Scott is available if you have questions, concerns, and comments at 603-536-1731, extension 112, or at townmanager@plymouthnh.gov. That completes Scott's report.
Thanks, Ted.
Hope I did it justice.
Well done.
You did great. Any questions for Scott that we could send back through Ann? All right, that takes us to Plymouth Airport and the Capital Well Company well replacement for the municipal airport. The most controversial warrant article for 2025.
So what you have in front of you here, there is the purchase order for Capital Well Company. Total cost $26,142.75. As you remember, the amount that we originally budgeted, the warrant article was $20,000. So the additional amount, $6,142.75, will be coming out of the airport's fund, separate fund that they have, that they raise funds for. There are 3 quotes that are attached. One of them with Capital Well indicates that we can actually get 1% off if our invoices are paid within 7 days. So this was a recommendation of Colin to go with this particular company. Additionally, we're hoping for an airport grant for the coming year, so hopefully that will offset this expense as well. So there are 3 quotes ranging from
24,445
yep
to 26.
26,195. And again, this is a recommendation of Colin to go with this individual company, which includes all the work. Not all the quotes came in with all the work being included, so, yep.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the funding in the amount of $26,142.75 for Capital Well Company to do the well installation at the airport.
Second.
This also could end up coming in higher if the drilling is deeper than 700 feet.
Yes,
Could also be
we have a,
less if
Steel
they don't go as deep.
increases.
right,
Well, steel
per
prices
foot.
increase too. It could go up.
if what?
Steel prices go up.
Well, they would
We'd get-
stay with that
So we'd be locked
price.
in on the steel,
We're
right?
locked in on the price.
So the pricing note here says otherwise.
Oh, does it?
Because of the volatile steel market, we cannot hold casing prices as quoted under after cash discount pricing note.
Interesting.
Also curious whether it's so deep with casing, but
Well, it needs to be done.
It might
And
just be because that's such
there
a
is
silty
currently
area.
$18,000, I believe, in the
Okay.
fund that is set aside just for the airport. So they have enough, but
Okay. And that 18,000 isn't
is used for the airport only
right. So there's nothing else that potentially.
at this time
Okay.
now. No.
Great. Thank you.
I suppose it is Baker River floodplain. It could have a lot of overburden.
Is Colin's recommendation for going with this one because it in theory, includes all the components as opposed to the other ones that weren't complete?
Yes, and the recommendations that he received from others who have put wells in is with Capital Well.
I believe these are all based on footage. So they're all estimates, depending on the depth. But the unit prices are all there.
The excavation is actually included in capital wells, where it is not included in the last one.
And that's $2,300.
Thomas.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
The
Oh,
town
sorry.
is muted. I cannot hear anything you're saying.
The town is muted.
He can't answer
Can't
that.
you can't?
Are we muted? Yeah, we are muted.
The internet went out for a second.
Oh. And all right. Well, I will back us up a moment here.
Can you hear us now, Jason?
Yep, good to go. I miss anything after Phil said, I believe this is based on, and then you went dark.
Based on foot.
On footage for all of the quotes.
These are all estimates based on, with unit costs per foot for casing and drilled wells and drilled depth.
Colin is on. I don't know if he has a comment.
Before we vote, Colin, did you have any commentary you wanted to provide here?
Oh, well, I had these 3 quotes, and this is the one that actually came to the site. And so I was able to get a pretty good idea of how they would proceed with doing the work. And they also are very reputable.
Colin, do you know, did they pull any local well records to see how much casing is in the wells in that area? I'm curious why they're estimating so much casing on these. Is that based on other wells in the vicinity?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, all 3 mentioned looking at a map and their experience of digging wells in the same area.
Okay, thanks.
But Capital Well is the only one that came on site?
Yes.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? There you are.
You're all set, Colin.
Thanks, Colin.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right.
The next purchase order is for a Central Square Tritech software system. If you go 5 pages in, you're going to see an email from Alex. Phil. So the email from Alex indicates that the Plymouth Police Department has utilized Central Square Record Management System continuously since 1999. Over the last 2 decades, the system has become the backbone of the police and dispatch operations. Therefore, the reason why you're only seeing 1 quote, okay? In it, it's used for, let's see, securing, storing, and managing all historical and current law enforcement data. This includes incident report, arrest records, dispatch logs, and other mission-critical public safety information. It's also a long-standing system with Ashland, Thornton, and Campton. So it's the same system everybody's logged into. Its regional alignment is essential for interagency collaboration, data sharing, and coordinated response efforts across the jurisdiction. So this purchase order, again, this is for the 25-26 year, $20,971.12.
And is this, so this is annual?
It is an annual fee. Yep.
And do we have any idea how this varies from previous years?
I don't.
Guess we're always going to have to work with these folks.
Always.
Always until a
End of
significant competitor comes
It's a
in.
better deal to all of the towns who rely on it.
right. Wow.
And that dispatch budget is charged out to multiple towns that we use. So even though it looks like a significant expense to the town of Plymouth, that is reimbursed.
We recover that through
Some of
You
it.
dispatch
recover
Some of
some
it,
of
yeah.
those fees,
Yeah.
yes.
My guess would
Not-
be some portion of half of it.
Yeah, you're right.
Move to approve the expenditure of, $20,971.12 for dispatch records management system and police record management system.
And you're
in
gonna
Central Square.
waive the bid requirement to 3, please?
And because of the history with this organization and the regional collaboration on dispatch services, inherent in my motion is a waiver of the requirement for 3 bids.
Second.
Any other discussion? This is, if Scott was here, it would be an easier direct note, but in the future, when we get an annual renewal for something, it'd be really nice to know prior year cost,
Yep,
just because then it's like, oh, we're approving the exact same thing as last year, or like, oh, this is up 20%. Maybe they are holding us over a barrel.
Right.
Anyway,
Yeah,
Jason, you had a note?
I will
Yeah,
make sure
if we,
that's-
it would be nice to have prior year cost even another competitor. Like I know, it would be over the moon to try to switch or something like that, but at least something to measure like, okay, what is the current market out there to see, like Zach said, are they holding our feet to the fire because they know we're locked in?
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that takes us to the signature file.
Got a book, literally.
Literal book this evening.
Literal a book. All right, so this is the 2025A property tax warrant in the amount of $9,357,138. I need the board to sign that first page, and I'm gonna pass the whole book, so if you wanted to look at anything specific. And does anybody have a blue pen?
Black.
Black.
I'm gonna ask you to use a blue pen just so we know which one is original. And you're signing that first page right there. Want me to keep going, Zach, or?
Yeah, unless there are questions about the tax warrant.
They're all alphabetical? That helps.
I'm gonna check the one data point I'm familiar with.
No.
You been watching Ted's tax rate too?
I know. So, we have a 2024 abatement for 10 Sanborn Road, in which the assessment is going from 114,300 to 94,800, difference of 19,500. The abatement is for, with interest, 49107. 2 places to sign there, and these are recommended by the assessor. Next item is 2 timber cuts. First one is a warrant for $939.68. This is for property at 85 Summit Drive. 2 places to sign for each of those. There's another one, $3,137.41. This is property, Yetton Road. Two. The next one is a New Year, actually a couple of them. New Year intents to cut. Bridgewater Mountain Road. 12.5 is the acreage, 10 acres to be cut. The next one is Fairgrounds Road. 44.7 acres and 20 acres to be cut.
Nope, that's just my garbage. Okay.
The last one is in elderly exemption, new elderly exemption. The person qualified according to the assessors, and we're asking for your approval for that for the 25 year. On the abatement that went around, there was a note on the very front, or a note from the assessor that indicated the individual is also asking for an abatement of interest. I'm asking the board just to hold off and not, there's nothing to sign on that until you meet with the tax collector at your next meeting.
Yep, makes sense given that context.
And that's all I have.
Well, while everybody's signing things, Jason, do you have any updates from Plymouth Village Water and Sewer?
They have not met since our last meeting. They meet tomorrow, so I'll be going to that meeting.
Okay. Phil, any updates from Planning Board?
Boy. Yes. Give me a minute. I'm ill prepared for my update. We had a meeting. It went well. Give me a second here. Sorry.
You're fine.
I know we met with Judy Barrett. We talked about moving forward on the housing chapter of the CIP. We discussed some budgets. We spent a lot of time, the planning board discussed goals for the upcoming year, what we wanted to focus on. There was a great deal of discussion about, I think there was consensus that there may be an interest in investigating a town wetlands ordinance, but that might be better handled after the Conservation Commission updates the natural resource inventory. There is going to be some work done on evaluating the process for citing businesses in the ag zone, and if the current zoning is going to meet that, or if there's a better way to do that. Sorry, I will
What was
be
the date of that meeting? Just
5/1.
5/1, thank you.
Yeah, it was right at the beginning of the month. Judy Barrett met with us. We talked about the CAP committee membership. Zach, I believe your name came up. I know Sue mentioned wanting to get started on that sooner than they did last year. We did discuss the master plan chapter of the CIP and how outreach was going to happen with that. We do have a grant, obviously, from that we've had contracted with Barrett Planning to work on that for us. And we did discuss briefly also the RSA 155E earth excavation. If the town needs to, we're going to investigate whether or not it makes sense for the town to make something more specific than what's generally in 155E, just because there are some really poorly defined terms in 155E that a town can choose to define more specifically. One of the things that comes to mind is when you have an existing excavation, RSA 155E allows existing excavations to continue operating as long as a commercially viable amount has been removed every 2-year period continuously.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, what's a
Commercially
one of those
viable.
questions is
Yeah.
what's commercially viable? Are they taking, is it 20 yards? Is it a shovelful?
Mm-hmm.
So, that is a question, existing pits are not always grandfathered. And that's one of those questions where you can continue to allow existing excavations to continue in operation, but at some point, they don't have the protections that 155E puts in place for the owners of town, or for the town in general. So 155E basically requires closure plans and bonding for closure, so that if a site owner walks away and leaves an open pit, that there would be a resource to go in and close it. And that's kind of the big part of 155E is just ensuring safety at the closure of a pit. And existing excavations, it was discussed that almost every farm had a pit at one point, just like every farm had a dump of their own. So that's one of those things that I think there will be further discussion of that as we move forward. If I think of anything else, I'll come back to it. That's all for now.
All right. Any questions for Phil?
Nope.
School.
Okay, Plymouth Elementary School. That last week, they have a current enrollment of 387, and they've actually told us that they continue to have students join even at this late juncture in the year. They also talked about kind of a banner year for kindergarten coming up. Apparently, they have 42 confirmed kindergarten attendees that have stated that they're intending to come, and they haven't even reached the summer season yet, where they usually have a few coming out of the woodwork, people moving in, etc. Largely, this is probably attributable to that they've been outreaching to the local daycares and what have you to try to get people registered early. So, the long and short of it is that they're going to have a third kindergarten class.
After having 2 for a while.
Yeah, and they're 42, I guess, is right at that cusp where you can't really go much bigger with the 2, then it starts creating problems. So it's definitely a big bubble here. Obviously,
Is this the beginning of the COVID baby boom hitting the
is.
school?
maybe, yeah.
Oh, right, the
I
math.
didn't even think of that, yeah.
I mean, the timing's.
It's
Yeah.
5 years ago,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. So that's what's going on there. So
Interesting.
lots of kiddos. That should help populate. The question is, will it be sustained years, or is it just a 1-year bubble?
From my experience on the school board, I remember as a school board member, we really struggled to balance having teachers for all the classes. There was a cohort, I believe they're juniors now, that was fairly large. I want to say it was like 62 students, and there can be changes in enrollment that varies from year to year, but it actually makes me happy to know that enrollment is going up, so that the resources will be fully utilized there. I really don't see that as Yeah, I've been a little concerned to hear that enrollment has been down and that resources are less utilized.
time, yeah.
I'd rather see them be fully utilized since they're there.
They also talked about having advertising for a 1-year position to teach that kindergarten class. They have the money in their current budget to deal with that. I forget the specifics, but so there is no net surprise on tax bill, so to speak. They had a bunch of dates that they mentioned. I'll mention the most relevant one because it's coming up soon. Spring concerts are occurring on May 28th. That's for grades 4 and 5 at 6 p.m. and grades 6 through 8 at 6:45 p.m. Let's see, other topics. They did have a budget review. They had some savings. They had a deficit in special education because of a bunch of unexpected expenses. They're talking about renovation with surplus money. So the construction update. They're in pretty good. Their budget's pretty good shape at the moment. They have right now a $499,000 fund balance in which they're going to use $80,000 approximately for facilities improvement, basically office construction, repaving, and drainage. They're going to do something with that back. I forget exactly where. I think it's where the basketball court is or something, where it's kind of starting to come up. And they're also going to do something out in front of their area of the old Ward Bridge Road to repave the potholes that have
It's gotten pretty bad, yeah.
that are become pretty evident if you've gone down there. But the special education out of district expense, that is, they are required to send someone to St. Anne's in Massachusetts. So that's a $92K cost that's directly being borne by the town of Plymouth. Let's see. Coming down a little bit, they're going to talk about, they're going to do that. $159,000 for William White Services for behavioral health support. This is a contract. Capital Reserve, $50,000 to be transferred to Capital Reserve. Should leave $118,000-ish for the remaining balance after all those planned expenditures. So I'm presuming that the monies will be sent back to the town to offset taxes. One of the things that they're going to do this summer is create a new office for the assistant principal down near, I don't know exactly where it is, but it's down near the Parks and Rec area, to get somebody else down there in that area to kind of be able to watch things. And I don't remember the specifics about where it's being carved out of, but that's part of those costs. School lunch program. Basically, at this point in time, they're going to be increasing the school lunch program by 10 cents. This is something that they typically do every year. The effort is in order to get it into compliance with the federal reimbursement. Right now, I think the federal reimbursement is, don't quote me on this, around $4.50 per meal. They are required by law to increase the cost by a minimum of 10 cents with the goal of getting it closer to that match. The intent is to make sure that the federal program doesn't subsidize the paid program, where students pay it themselves. So that's the minimum amount that they're allowed to go up. They could go up the full amount, but then, obviously people would be upset about that. So they go up 10 cents, which is what's the minimum of what's required. Let's see. That's pretty much a summary of the elementary school. Moving along to the high school. So they had a number of seniors had a field trip. They had a quiz bowl where they placed 8th in Chicago. I guess this is a national one. They had the AP testing starting soon. Job fair on the 17th of this month. And they had a number of events related to just prior to their spring vacation week. Spring carnival, dress-up days, a pep rally. Of note, they had 3 students they honored with top honors, valedictorian Reagan Sutherland, salutatorian Leah Een, and third honors was Norman Sackett. So in the...
They announced when graduation is?
Yes, it's in graduation June 7th at 9 a.m. on the football field. The rain date is the following day.
Thank you.
Scholarship and senior awards night is going to be on June 3rd. And their spring concert is on May 20th at 7 p.m. at PSU, I think it's Silver Center. And they're talking about their board retreat setting for July 30th at the Six Burner Bistro from 2 to 4 p.m. And
Use this opportunity to express my dislike for them doing that. I mean, right to know, they're doing it in a restaurant, they've got no video, they've got no coverage, no notes ever come out of it. I think it's bad.
Look at what we did record last year. I think they want us to continue doing.
Ooh, that would be good. That would be good. Because I objected last year, and I think I didn't know that Scott actually managed to get you guys over there. That's good. All right.
excellent.
I take it back. If we're actually going to have TV there, I feel much better about it.
Prom was apparently held on May 9th, which was last week, with an expected then 325 students attending. So that's
It was done at the barn this year,
Yeah.
which
Right,
sounds like it was pretty successful because it had been Concord for a
Concord.
long time, and then they did it at Owl's Nest
Nest,
last year. But it sounds like it was really nice at the barn.
yeah.
Keeping it in town too. That's good.
I applaud their efforts to keep it in town.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see. They did talk about a couple of field trips. One went to Washington, D.C. They had presentations at Arlington Cemetery. Sounded like a really good event for the students that attended. They had also had 6 students participate in a literacy-focused service learning experience in Puerto Rico. That sounds pretty cool, too. I could be a chaperone for that. Let's see. So facilities, they have some expenses that they're going to take care of. Propane tank, manifold cover, $21K. Classroom furniture upgrade for 3 rooms. This is basically a completion of a project that had been started years ago to uplift all the furniture. So two regular classrooms, and I forget what the other last one was. It was something a little special, but don't remember the details. Let's see. And some updates on the soccer lacrosse field fencing of $21,000. They did mention also they had some open positions, math teacher, critical need, outdoor rec leadership, special education, out of district supervision, supervision, experience required. And they also talked about the thing about the legislative discussion that we've discussed here, that they're talking about writing a letter as well. I requested that since there was multiple schools from other towns represented, that they consider bringing that back to their local districts as well, to get at least the word toward the governor to support that budget changes. Lastly, notable items. They had a year with no substantiated bullying, cyberbullying incidents for 24-25, so that's good. And they had their Bobcat Classic Golf Tournament, and 32 teams participated despite challenging weather.
Great.
And that concludes the report for this month.
Any questions for Ted about high school? All right, on to Conservation Commission.
They meet next week on May 20th at 7 p.m. here.
Week. Phil already told us that they're working on getting the CIP committee together a little earlier this year, but nothing yet. We won't have anything from LRPC. Unless, Jason, you didn't read any minutes or anything to report on?
No, I did not.
Okay, Marianne, Parks and Rec?
Not till August, the next meeting.
August. Energy Commission.
Yep. We did meet last week. It was a productive meeting. We welcomed Brian Henchez as a new member. Grace gave us an update on the filing for the direct pay incentive on the solar array. It sounded like she was still working on potentially updating the notice. I'm not sure if that got up. It sounded like she needed to talk to you about that.
Yep, we went through and we've actually determined from the IRS, we thought the year end would be 12/31/24. It actually is June 30th of 25, so now we have until November to file. But you can't file until your year ends, which is now July. So we keep pushing it out a little bit more, but we have someone that we're working with that can help us with that. So
In that context, the question of, are we on a fiscal year, a budget year, or, you know,
it depends on
or
who
are we
you
on a
ask.
calendar year in the town?
Depends what you're filing for.
All right. So yeah, there was some discussion about that, which I still need to learn about. So, there was great discussion of the solar update. So there's a tracker on the town website which is active, and just out of curiosity, I've been watching my own solar recently since I recently made some updates, and I know that Monday the 1st was actually a pretty good day. And if you look at the town's production for that day, the town produced 1,700 kilowatt hours in one day, which is awesome. That's basically like what 3 houses would use in a month in one day of production. So pretty good. The town. So yeah, it's if you go to the town of Plymouth website and look at the hot buttons under the photo and scroll all the way to the right, there's a solar activity button, and it goes right into the tracker, and you can explore by day, by week, by month.
I'm assuming that like Saturday was a bust. Huh?
Yeah, there have been a lot of busts. Today's shaping up
Last
to be a
week
pretty
was a
good day. So, yesterday was good. Yesterday was also 1.7 or 1.7 megawatt hours, which is 1,700 kilowatt hours.
Do we know how it's comparing to what we
Estimates?
estimated when we originally did the project?
There was some discussion of that, and I think that the only thing they've really been paid for is December of 24, and I think that it was higher than they estimated. But, you know, month to month production, in my experience, varies a great deal depending on the weather. You know, it's, you know, the longer you look, the better your
So May,
accuracy
not so
looks.
good as a whole.
Yeah. Last week was horrible for everyone. So Grace is going to send Scott a summary of the Energy Pioneers event, which was so Clean Energy New Hampshire hosted Energy Week last week. There was a tour of the solar array on Tuesday, I believe, and then on Friday, the town of Plymouth was nominated as one of 4 community nominees for Energy Champions Awards. I happened to go to that for work and saw Grace and Maggie there, who were there representing Plymouth. Plymouth did not win, but the Rockingham County won. But there were a few other communities that were also nominated. That was really nice to be there and be recognized by Clean Energy New Hampshire. We did discuss the building building committee meetings, and I committed to talking to Scott and asking that Scott include Maggie on those communications. Maggie Mumford has a great deal of experience with facilities, building energy efficient facilities at Holderness School. She would very much like to be involved.
I think she's already on the communications.
She hasn't been getting anything.
There hasn't been anything.
Maybe there
in
hasn't been anything going out.
6 months. We haven't had
Okay.
any progress.
Okay.
So she's on the list. I think she just thinks that she's not because there hasn't been anything.
Maybe if somebody could send a feel-good confirmation that this is everybody that's on the list, so she at least knows that she's there.
That's totally worth
That
it.
was a point of discussion amongst the Energy Committee the Energy Commission, because I know that anytime we're really looking at energy efficiency as being the smart long-term investment for town. If we're going to look at a facility, energy efficiency should be part of it from the beginning.
Absolutely.
And I know that Scott is supportive of that concept as well. We talked about building audits. Ashley shared the login information. So all of the town's electric and heating fuel use has been entered into EPA Portfolio Manager, so you can log into one place. And the goal is we'd like to start tracking it in that platform long term, so we can kind of see trends. Portfolio Manager calculates an energy use intensity, which is BTUs per square foot, but it's a relative measure of how much energy a building uses that normalizes it for the building size. But you can't really compare a highway garage to a town hall. So the value of Portfolio Manager is we should be able to go in and benchmark our highway garage against other highway garages in New England. So we talked about starting to focus on what working with facilities and Scott to start to identify what potential projects there might be to improve the efficiency of some of the town facilities. Ashley indicated that she had talked to Jesse about town hall, that there was an audit done some years ago. There's already a good plan. There's already an HVAC upgrade in the works for that, I believe, for this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're feeling pretty good about town hall. We're feeling like the fire department and police department shouldn't be part of this if we're looking at another facility for them. So that really leaves, can we look at the highway garage, the transfer station office, the library, but we're going to look at those options and potentially reach out to the New Hampshire Electric Cooperative, which has funds for municipal building audits, I believe at no cost to the town, up to a certain amount. So building audits, and then we're also talking about, since we have a lot of new people on the board, we want to, I think Brian and Ashley are going to go through the past audits to figure out what was recommended, what's been done, and see if we can kind of get up to speed on old information before we commit to gathering new information. So that was the general notes of the meeting. Thank you. It's a good group with a lot of energy.
Pun intended.
Sorry.
Nothing from Advisory Budget Committee. PSU negotiations are
Ongoing.
on
The agenda.
Right, exactly. Chamber of Commerce.
I believe we meet this Thursday.
Nothing from Bill on PERLAC. Police and fire building, as just mentioned, we've had no progress there, unless Ann knows of something that I don't know.
No.
And union negotiations,
Are July-ish.
July-ish.
I did happen to stumble across a sketch of an architectural rendering of the police and fire building. That was kind of nice.
There is, yeah. Were you not here? The non-public so we had a non-public that we
I
discussed.
think it was before my time on the board. I think it was.
No, we did it. It might have been
Maybe it was.
the one week you weren't here.
Maybe.
We met just to do a quick update to the
Okay.
board of where we were in terms of real estate negotiation and some of those
No,
pieces.
maybe I was. I think I was here for the real estate part of it.
Oh, okay. I did not have the drawing for that meeting, but there is a drawing.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be getting an updated drawing, which is part of what
Right.
has been delaying things.
And presumably this is conceptual
It's all, well, I mean, it's all conceptual until
Right.
we have funding to do conceptual work.
Right.
But then we've got the goal would be to try to get a proposal together that we could bring the town,
Right.
that says, hey,
Makes a lot of sense.
we've got some sort of real estate opportunity that would be this sort of cost, and, we're estimating a building cost of this, and
We're estimating at
financing of
this amount of revenue from getting the existing police and
Exactly.
tax back onto the tax roll.
Which is all part of the thing, right? Yeah, selling those buildings, getting those on the tax roll. Yeah, all of that. So that's the intention, is to try to get that all pulled together. We're running a little behind, I think, but hopefully we're going to pick up pace.
Good.
So I do have a message that came in. It said, Scott and Joseph will be bringing a project work plan to the 5/27/25 meeting in regards to economic development. So that'll be on the
Oh, good.
agenda.
Good.
Okay.
Love that. All right. Any public comments? Looks like just Jason and Jonathan online. Any other comments from the board?
No? Motion to adjourn.
Or are we going to non-public or no?
No.
We are not.
We're delaying it till next week.
All right. Great.
Or next time.
Next meeting.
Yes, next
Second.
meeting.
Wow.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.